and welcome to the first episode of Stacked. I'm your host, Jeroen.
And I'm your host, Mikhil.
So, Mikhil, maybe as a starter for the audience, tell me more about yourself.
So I'm a passionate crypto builder. I've been in the space for more than 4 years and have built various products. I've taken various products to market, and I've had the opportunity to work with some really smart people in the space. And I'm passionate about sports. I'm a huge football geek. You can have a conversation about football for the next few hours, and I wouldn't get bored. We can have a conversation about yields, and I wouldn't get bored. I love the world of finance, more so the world of smart contracts and decentralized finance. So yeah, I'm an engineer by background, and I've learned a lot of things from some very exciting people. So for me, this is all about learning and sharing experiences. What about you, Yarin? Why don't you share a little bit about your journey? I'm sure you've spent a lot of time building. Prior to crypto, you've done a bunch of other things.
Yeah, absolutely. I personally started my career in finance. Actually, was a consultant in traditional finance, a lot on the banking and risk management side. Did that for a couple of years across the world. Like, spent a lot of time in different countries. Lived a little bit in France, then lived in Singapore for quite a while. Um, and then moved on to a more entrepreneurial journey. Like, I've always been passionate about everything that's entrepreneurial, and jumped into this entrepreneurial story of like fashion tech. Built out a pretty successful company in Singapore in 5 years time, and then kind of got dragged into the crypto world, which obviously I was following already on the side. Um, and yeah, started building in crypto. I think about 3 years ago. Been building passionately since. I've been building products, been building relationships, been building knowledge, all the things that we can talk about in one of these episodes. So, Mikhail, explain a little bit more about what our listeners can expect from this podcast.
I would say there's a few things that the listeners can expect, right? One is just get a deep understanding of the space, understand how things work in this industry, understand what yields are, where these yields come from, because I think that's a very important part of you know
Real yield.
yeah, where do the yields come from? If you don't know, it's a very interesting saying, right? If you don't know where the yield comes from, you are the yield. So we are here to break down where that yield comes from. We are here to talk to builders who've been shipping some products that most people don't understand about, like, what is zk tech. If you ask that to a person in this industry, the explanation is going to be so complicated that most people in the audience might not get it. They won't get excited about it, but it's something so exciting and new, that can change how you look at decentralized finance today. So going into those details, specifics, breaking things down, and more than that, it's also about like you as a person. Like, who are you as a person, who am I as a person, going into those details. When we speak to others, what do they do, what does their life look like, what are they passionate about, is it sports, fitness, health, physical, mental, whatever that looks like. That's what we want to talk about. We want to talk about anything that excites you, anything that excites the audience, any new trends that come into this industry, what is the future of the space gonna look like. So we'll go into all those details, and we'll have a good time, I think, doing this.
Yeah, and I'm super excited about this. Like, I've been meeting hundreds of people in the industry over the last couple of years, conferences all across the globe, and very often it's very technical or product focused, and like how can we work together. But I realize like sometimes we're missing the personal connection, and I think that's one thing we'll dive deeper into, like in this podcast, really get to know the person behind the project, the person behind the yield. That's maybe too much, but at least the person, the human behind the entire industry, which is often so fast paced that you don't have time to understand the personal knowledge or the personal relationship and build that. And that's one thing I'm very excited about. Get some very good bright minds on this space. Share some nice discussions. And yeah, just talk on a personal level and on a crypto level, of course.
Absolutely, yeah. I think you're also right about the fact that the space is, you kind of miss out the human aspect very easily in the space, right? Like, everybody is just looking at numbers on a screen, and like, oh, number go up, number go down. That's the meme, and that's the reality of the industry. But it's more than just that, right? So you want to go into those details, and I'm very happy to be doing this with you. Yarin and I have been working together for the last 3 years now at Persistence, and we've we've built a lot of things, and we've shared a lot of very interesting moments and experiences together. So we're very happy and excited to be starting this journey with Stagged. And
Yeah, man. And like I think one thing that is really cool, like I mean, I've been working like alongside you for the last couple of years, and I mean, very often we start with something and we have no clue on like how to make this happen. And I think the exact same is what you see here. Like this first episode is so raw. We have no clue on how to do this. We literally just hit record and we start talking. And I think we will figure this out. It's not about having the first podcast being perfect. Like we know it's not about perfection, it's about speed. It's about doing things. It's about just like starting and hit record and like, look, we improve every single podcast a little bit, and like a little thing we'll tweak here and there, and like we'll gradually improve. We kind of stack the knowledge, stack the experience that we will have along the way. And I'm very excited about that. And like, yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun.
yeah,
What
absolutely.
do you think the format should look like? I mean, we have no clue yet. We haven't really discussed. But what do you think the format should look like? Do we do like short interviews, 10, 15 minutes? Do we just talk between the two of us? Do we invite a lot of people? What do you think?
I think it's a mix of all of those things, right? It's a mix. Like you could have somebody as smart as the founder of Eigenlayer on this podcast
Jeroen.
someday, or you could have somebody who's never built a product in this space, but is one of the smartest guys in the Web 2 world, but is deeply passionate about crypto and to a certain extent. Somebody who's just a user in the space, and all they care about is using these products that have been built. Somebody who's a trader, somebody who's just an anon. You don't know who this person is, so you could talk to different people, and you could learn a lot of things. I think the format could be a 15-minute short interview, it could be a 1 hour long conversation. It just has to flow similar to this conversation right now, where we're just talking, looking at the screen, and have no idea what we're gonna say next. I think it has to be like that, and it just needs to be fun and exciting, and people listen to this conversation and they take something away from it, right? They don't waste their time. It's about like making sure people enjoy listening to this, and like, yeah, we're catering to the audience, right? It's how we think about product building as well. It's about users, the UX. So similarly, it's about, oh, if there's an interesting conversation, why cap it to 15 minutes, 20 minutes? Let's keep going as long as we need to, right?
That makes sense. So let's start something unscripted and like get feedback, iterate, make it better. Like if people don't like the unscripted version, maybe we can prepare a couple of questions and really think about things before we record the next episode. If that doesn't work, we'll
Yeah,
do something else. Let's make it flexible, fluid. And we'll figure
yeah,
things out. I'm
yeah,
pretty confident we will. We always have. So
yeah.
I'm sure we will do that on this one as well.
100%, man. Looking
So
forward to it.
what else can we discuss here today? Like what else do we need
I think maybe
to
like
talk about?
I think if you take a step back, we said, we want to talk about the human aspect of things. Like, why don't you start with a little bit of the human aspect for you? Like,
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think the human aspect often gets kind of ignored, and like we're moving at a pace that is so much faster than any industry like I've ever worked in. And it obviously takes a certain toll on the human aspect, like your personal life. People talk about work-life balance, things like that. And I'm not saying that like, look, you have to try and like be really super balanced and like enjoy life. I mean, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. I think for so many people building in the space, you're at the forefront of something, and in a way, you have to make some sacrifices on the personal level. Some friendships maybe have to be reprioritized. Maybe it's not worth spending time with some people that are negative about the space, for example, that don't believe in you or in the space. Like, um, and yeah, just to see how you can make everything work out on a personal level. How can you have a family while building out something in crypto? I personally have a family, so and I've been going at it like nonstop, and I still make time for family as well. How do you do all these things? I'm sure there's tons of people in that situation. Um, yeah, how is it all like viable, like in the longer term for everyone? How do you keep fit mentally, physically? How do you stay happy, but still work 5, 6, 7 days a week, like at a very high level? Yeah, all these things I think we can discuss.
absolutely, absolutely. I think when I first started in this space is 2019, and obviously a proper bear market. That was my first official jump into the space at Persistence, when we started Persistence. And is like, you know you just see the space move at a pace that's not super fast in a bear market, but it's still so painful, right? Because you don't know if you're gonna be able to pay the bills tomorrow. You don't know if people in the company are gonna get paid. But then everybody's still moving towards that one vision, and you just have such a great time. Like, I still have so many memories from 2019, 2020, where the team would sit down and do certain things together. So you build that connection within the team, and you have that human element kick in at the very early stages as well. And what tends to happen is, as every crypto organization starts growing, or in the middle of a bull market, you forget about those things. But I think that's something you always need to keep going back to and back to, so
Yeah.
that you remind yourself of where you've come from, who this person is. You look at people as resources, you don't look at people as humans. So you have to have that empathy, sympathy, and, like, help build people up. You grow as a person at the same time. And yeah, I think that's the human aspect, right,
Yeah.
about the space.
And I think, I mean, one more thing to add there is the remote working aspect. I think a lot of companies in the space like are fully remote. I mean, our company is mostly fully remote. How do you still build those relationships with your colleagues, with everyone else who's remote? Like everyone's just like sitting, like some people still sitting in their room, like maybe some in a co-working space and in a small office. But yeah, that remote working I think has changed life, and yeah, there has been an impact. And of course, like just having these face-to-face conversations at conferences, I think just makes such a big impact. And I think what we're trying to do with this podcast is trying to connect really with people on a deeper level, and yeah, fix that remote working distance that is created.
I agree, actually. That's a very good point. But I do think, the remote working situation, let's say, like, most friends you make in this space are, like, on Twitter. uh you know it's like, wow, you have so many anon friends. You message some 0x guy on Twitter, you've never met. You may have spoken to him on a call, but you probably have not even seen his her face, right? It's insane what you can do because of shared values and principles, the urge to compete and learn and do exciting things. It's also a very competitive space, right? Like, it reminds me so much of sports, because, like, I'm a huge football fan. So, like, football as in soccer. You know so, like, you football is like, there's this saying by Jose Mourinho, which is, I don't like, for me, it's not about winning. For me, I hate losing. uh, a lot of people in the space share either that view, or they share the view, "Oh, I want to win, I want to win big." For me, it's about, like, it's not PvP in that sense, although the space can very much be a PvP thing. But you want to win in a team sport, right?
What's
Like,
PvP?
player v player, like, it's
Okay.
so it's not like if I win, you lose.
Mm-mm.
But, like, it's more like a team sport, where you don't want to win alone. You want to win with the team. You want to win with your gang, right? So
Mm-mm.
I think the space, you make friends that you've never met, but they are so, they want to see you succeed, and you want to see them succeed. And this is a very interesting dynamic. So I think the remote aspect, the fact that the space is fully global, you don't even get to meet most people unless they come to a conference where you are at. And not everybody can fly to different conferences, right? So, like, you just find, it just gives, because if you live in a society where you don't like the people around you, how do you meet like-minded people? This is the space. And the opportunity is huge, because you can meet anybody, and just get connected, and you meet with them, like, once in 10 years, once in 5 years. You don't know that, but once you meet them, they're like, "Oh shit, we've been friends for such a long time." And you feel like you've spent all your time together. So I think, yeah, that's an interesting thing.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, the analogy with sports, I think, will come back throughout the series of podcasts. I think we're both like very competitive in nature, um, and but also like team players, I would say, and like finding a way to have a whole bunch of players, let's say, on the field and make them work together. I think, I mean, at least for me, that's often kind of the biggest thing to figure out, is like you have a lot of great players, like great connections, but how does it all work together? How is this becoming like a glued together, or like how is like well-oiled machinery in a way? Um, so yeah, man, super excited about this. I think we can probably wrap it
Wrap it up.
up
Yeah.
here. I think this was a first intro. Let's see what we get out of this. Let's get some reactions in. Let us know what you guys think we should talk about, how we should do it in terms of formatting. Help us, and yeah,
And
well,
let's stack some knowledge and yields.
absolutely, and friendships and everything you want to stack, points, maybe anything. Cool. This was it. See you in the next episode.
Ciao.